Welcome back to my workshop. Now, I recently did a review on a gas soldering iron, and as a result of that I've been approached by a company called Kaiweets, and they've offered me, for the purpose of review, this soldering iron, okay, which is a digital soldering iron. Okay, it's got a little screen on it. We'll have a look at that in a moment. Okay, I'm not getting paid to actually say anything nice about this, but I've been supplied this for the purpose of review. So what I'll do is get this out of the box, have a look at it, and then possibly make some comparisons between the other soldering irons I've got. Okay, so first of all, let's get this out of the box. Right, so this is how it comes. It's in a cardboard box, it's covered in cellophane. So let's do the first thing and get that out of the cellophane. Then that way it won't carry on reflecting the light. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got a Kaiweets Intelligent Electric Soldering Iron. It's a KETS02 apparently. This is what it looks like. It's got a little screen on it, a couple of arrows, cap. All right, we'll have a look at that in a minute. A KETS02 Kaiweets Intelligent Electric Soldering Iron. All right, what have we got on the back here? It says Intelligent Electric Soldering Iron. Installation instructions, gives you a quick instructions how to put the tips in it. Basic parameters, right, this is a model KETS02, 65 watts apparently. Power supply is a USB type C, which I'm quite interested about because apparently you can use this off of a power bank, but I think you have to have the right power bank. It's got a 0.75 inch OLED screen, temperature range between 80 and 420 degrees centigrade. Operating voltage 9 volts to 20 volts and a fast charging protocol PD 3.0. I have no idea what that is. I'm in the UK, so I've been supplied a UK PD power adapter. Okay, so let's get this out of the box. And this is the actual soldering iron. It's quite a sweet little thing. Okay, that's stuck in there. Okay, right, that's all we get in the box. Let's put that to one side for a moment. Right, so this is everything you get in the kit. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 soldering tips, a power lead, you get a cap, you get the actual soldering iron, you get a power supply, you get a small stand, you get the world's thinnest piece of foam, and you get some instructions. So what we'll do is we'll quickly look over these bits and pieces before we actually start it. We'll start looking at the instructions and see how comprehensive they are. Okay, so we'll have a look at these because it looks like it's got some special features and I suppose we should really learn how to use them. Intelligent Electric Soldering Iron Kit, and it's got a part number there. Starts off, it tells you some details about all the buttons. Left and right, OLED, Type-C interface, soldering tip and a locking nut. Goes over some of the specifications I've just said. And it's different operating voltages, 20 volts, 15, 12 and 9. Now I'm assuming that it auto adjusts, depends on what power you supply it. Okay, at 20 volts it's 65 watts, 15 volts it's 37.5 watts, 12 volts 24 watts, 9 volts 13.5 watts. So obviously the power output is dependent on the power input. Here we've got a little description of what the screen means. Oh, lots of instructions here. 1 key standby, temperature settings, settings mode, screen brightness, temperature calibration, temperature unit, sleep time, sleep temperature, child lock, handheld mode, voltage gear. All right, that's fairly comprehensive. And a little bit about maintenance, and then it goes off into different languages. Okay, so it's only a couple of pages of English instructions, but that should be more than enough. So what have we got next? Right, we actually get this lead here, okay, which is obviously the power lead. It comes with a, oh, that's a nice little leatherette type of retainer, which is nice, that's always handy. And it's got a USB-C on that end and a USB-C on that end. Okay, this is a nice flexible silicone lead. Okay, it's not one of your cheap ones that actually snap. This feels like it's actually going to be quite purposeful. I think it's about 1 metre long, so we should be able to use that okay, providing we can get the power supply close enough. Okay, so that's the lead that goes with it. So we get this, which is obviously a power adapter. Let's have a quick look here. Input 100 to 240 volts at 50 hertz, that's good for us. Output type C 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts at 3 amps, 12 volts at 3 amps, 15 volts at 3 amps. Okay, so 25 amps. So 20 volts at 25 amps, which is a maximum of 65 watts. So it looks like that this power supply should be man enough to actually supply for the soldering iron. On the end here we've got a USB fast charge, and we've also got a USB type C. Okay, so in theory we should be able to plug this in and run the soldering iron directly from this. That's good. Right, we get a teeny tiny little stand here. Okay, this pops up so you can actually rest your soldering iron on it, which is a good thing. You don't want it burning anything. But it comes with this, which has got to be the world's thinnest piece of foam. Okay, I'm sure once you get some water on that, they'll expand. But that obviously sits in there for cleaning your tips while you're using it. Then we got these, some different tips. Now, we've got various different types here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of tips. Okay, we've got a couple of small blade type tips. Extremely pointy one for small electronics, slightly bigger pointy one for electronics. This is your conventional type of soldering tip, and then another smaller conventional type of soldering tip. They all come in a package. We'll see how we fit those in a moment. All right, let's have a look at the main thing. So here's the main thing. It's a very nice looking thing, and you get that and you get a cap with it, okay, which goes on there, I presume. Does it go on there? Oh, it looks like it's got a keyway. Little keyway, that's good. That will stop you trying to shove it on the wrong way. Yeah, little keyway. Does it lock? Let's have a look. Is it a bayonet type? Yeah, it looks like it locks. So let's push that on and then try and lock it. Oh yeah. Okay, so the lid actually locks on. It's got Kaiweets little logo on here. Yeah, I like that. That's a good child-proof lock. I like that. Okay, the actual body itself is 2 buttons and a small screen. It's got a protective cover on it. Just to give you an idea of the size of this, let's put that back on. Here's a standard carpenter's pencil. Okay, we all know how big these are. Okay, so it's 1/2 inch wide, 1/4 inch thick. Okay, so yeah, that's just to give you an idea of the scale. Now, if you make a comparison between that and one of the gas soldering irons I've got, which is this big, this could be a quite handy little thing. So I think what we need to do is actually power this up. Now we power it up, obviously here on the end, there's the USB-C connector. So we're going to plug this into the wall, attach this to that, and then see if we can turn it on. Right, before we power it on, I think we should really put a tip in it. Now what we'll do is we'll select a standard soldering tip. We'll go for this one. Okay, so that's a BC3, okay, which is quite a chunky tip. We'll go with that to start with. Okay, the tips look like they've got some insulation parts here. So how do we fit that? Now it looks like take the cap off, unscrew this cap, insert this. Has it got a keyway? No, it goes up to a shoulder here. Okay, there's a little shoulder here. It goes up to the shoulder, and then this screws back on. Yeah, that feels good. Can that go on when it's still on? Yes, it can, and it locks. Okay, so you don't have to take the nozzle off, the tip off every time you do it. Here's our little stand. That's how that works. Let's plug this in. Okay, so I've got my power supply here. All I'm going to do is plug in my adapter. No lights on the adapter, so you don't quite know it's on or not. Get our nice flexible lead. We're going to plug it into the USB-C. That's in. And then literally plug it into the back of the soldering iron. Okay, so I've powered it up. We've got this on the display at the moment, and it actually indicates to push the up arrow. So when you power it on first, it doesn't automatically heat up, which is probably a good thing because then you won't burn yourself. So it tells you on here what to do. Let's push that. Oh, here we go. Oh, and it's immediately warming up. It's got a temperature indication here and a percentage. I can already smell that heating up. That is really heating up quickly. All right, just out of curiosity, let's get some solder and see if that's already hot. Right, I've turned this off for a moment because that heated up really quickly. And what I want to do is see how long it actually takes to warm up. But the first thing I want to do is obviously put a little bit of drop of water in there so I can clean my tip. Right, I put a little bit of water on my sponge. It's quadrupled in thickness so that it's now a usable piece of foam. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this back on to check two things. One, to make sure when you power it on, it doesn't automatically start heating. And two, to see how quick it will heat up to melt a little bit of solder. So what I'm going to do is plug it in now. Okay, our display. Okay, so it tells us it hasn't started warming up. Let's just check. No, that's not soldered. Right, so let's turn it on. Ah, right, here we go. Right, I'm literally going to see how quick this heats up enough to... Oh my God. Right, that was seconds. Literally seconds before that was hot enough. That is really hot, really quickly. That's quite impressive. Yeah, so you could be up and running within a couple of seconds. That's impressive. At this point, I think what we'll do is we'll plug in some of our other soldering irons and see how long they take to warm up. Right, the first one I'm going to make a comparison with is this one, which is the Iroda gas soldering iron. Okay, obviously I'm not going to plug this in because it's gas. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start the timer, ignite it, and then see how long it takes before I can melt some solder. Now, bearing in mind that one took about 5 or 6 seconds. Let's try this. So ready? Start. Okay, it's a light. Okay, there. Okay, 29 seconds. Let's write that down. Right, next up we have this, which is the Parkside soldering iron that I did a review on the other day. This again is another gas soldering iron. I filled it with gas, so let's see how we get on with this. Same test again, same solder, and we'll start the timer. Ready? Start. Right, so the Parkside one was quite interesting. There's also gas. Now that actually took 52 seconds to actually get it to start. Okay, 52 seconds. So the actual heat time was about 28 seconds. Okay, so marginally better than the Iroda one, but not much. Okay, that's the two gas soldering irons. Let's try some mains powered ones. Okay, so the next contender is this one, which is a hand skit. Okay, this is a 26 watt soldering iron. It's a few years old, but it should still be good. What we're going to do is you're going to just turn it up to maximum, plug it in, start. and see how we go. Little light on it to tell me it's on. And there it goes. Okay, 30 seconds. 30 seconds for the hand skit. Okay, the next contender we got here, it's an unbranded one, but it's actually a 50-watt soldering iron. This is quite an ancient one. It's got a power control here. So again, we're going to turn it up to maximum, turn it on and see how long it takes. Ready, go, start. Right, I'm going to give up on that one. It's already 2 minutes 52 and it still hasn't decided to melt any solder. Okay, I can feel it getting warm, but it's just not warm enough to melt any solder. So I think that one, greater than 3 minutes. That's not very good, is it? Right, and finally, I've got this one, which is literally 1,000,000 years old. I don't think it's even got a name on it. Let's have a look. No, unbranded. Now, this must be at least 20 years old. This has been my go-to soldering iron in the workshop for years and years and years. Let's plug it in and see how we get on. So we want to reset that. And plug it in, start. And let's see how we get on. As I say, this thing is so old, I'll be impressed if this comes anywhere close. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so the ancient one took 1 minute 26 seconds. So as a first test, you can see that this one here, the Kaiweets one, 8 seconds it took. The next nearest one was 28 seconds. Okay, so it's 20 seconds faster than my other fastest one. Okay, 29 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute 26 seconds, and over 3 minutes. So that wins hands down for the speed of actually how hot it gets. So if you're in a rush to get something soldered or desoldered, that's probably a really good option. Right, well, let's see if it actually can unsolder something. Right, so what I've got here is a board. I believe this is a router, a wireless router. A real life scenario, if we had to change this power connector, what we need to do is desolder this. Let's see if it can do it in a relatively quick time. Okay, I've turned this on. Okay, it's been on for a good 20 seconds, so it's probably warm enough. So let's see if we can actually desolder something on here. Okay. Right, so I've quickly unsoldered this power connector here from the board. That was no problem with the soldering iron there. Okay, it didn't take too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder that back in to make sure it can solder okay. But I've just got to charge up my phone first because it's going flat. Right, so I've successfully managed to desolder this and pull this out. So if you was to be replacing this, this is quite possible. Right, what I'm going to do now is solder it back in. So let's just pop this back into the board, if I can see. Okay, put that back in. Now I've changed the tip on the end of this to a slightly smaller one. Let's just try and solder it back in. Oh, I think that's got it. Let's have a close look. Right, so that was easy enough. Obviously not the best soldering job in the world, but that's not the soldering iron's fault. That's mine because I'm a bit rubbish. We'll just try one more quick soldering experiment, and then we'll look through the menus on the soldering iron. All I want to do is attach another wire to this motor. Right, here we go. Right, job done. Yeah, that works. That works a treat. All right, let's have a look at some of these menus. This way. Right, so navigating the menus on this is quite simple. When you first power it up, you get the Kaiweets logo come up. Then you have this, and it indicates here, that flashing light tells you to push this button once, and it should start up on the heating cycle, which it does. Okay, that takes, as we said, a few seconds, probably about maximum of 8 seconds before it's up to temperature. It defaults to about 300 degrees. Now, if I want to change that temperature, I either go left, which takes the temperature down, or right, which takes the temperature up. Okay, now I've got it set at the moment to 20 volts, so the maximum I can get is 420 degrees centigrade. Okay, then this will quickly ramp up. There you go. So that's temperature control, and that's nice and easy. Let's take it back down to about 300. Right, if I want to gain access to the other menus, you push them both at the same time, and it brings you up onto this menu. Okay, and from there you can scroll. You've got voltage select, handheld, child lock, sleep temperature, sleep time, temperature units, and calibrate and brightness. Okay, so first of all, we'll go voltage select. Now, if we look on the documents here, let's quickly find the, okay, it says here the operating voltage. Okay, so you can select 20 volts, 15, 12 or 9, and this will ultimately give you a longer heat up time but less power. Okay, at the moment I've got it set at 20 volts, so that should give me 65 watts. But if I was down to 9 volts, that would only give me 13.5 watts. Okay, that's how that works. But if I wanted to change the selected voltage, long push on the right button. Okay, it brings up the menu here, and then you can navigate to whichever voltage you want. Okay, left and right. Okay, I'll put it back on 20 for now. And then when you've finished in this menu, long press on the right hand one, and it takes you back to here. Okay, look at brightness, same again. Long press on this one to get to the brightness menu. You can turn the brightness down. As you can see, the screen's dimming. Okay, let's go back to brightness, long press, let's take it back up again. Okay, long press. Okay, you got a calibration and temperature units, which I think is fairly self-explanatory, centigrade or Fahrenheit. Obviously, in the UK, I use centigrade. Long press. Sleep time. Now, obviously, when this goes to sleep, it will tell you how long it goes to sleep for, or you can tell it, and the sleep temperature. Okay, let's have a look at the sleep time first. Select 20 minutes. I presume you can just, you can adjust the sleep time. I'll put it back to 20 because I'm quite happy with that. Okay, so it's easy enough to navigate here. Child lock. Okay, open or closed. And let's have a look. Handheld. Now, why would you have handheld? Now, if you're left or right-handed, obviously, if I'm right-handed, let me zoom out a little bit here. If I'm right-handed, I want the menus to be up this way. Okay, if I've got it in my left hand, okay, obviously all of the menus are upside down. So if we change that to, take it back in again, if we change that to left-handed, okay, long press. Okay, so now whenever we try and do anything, this is upside down because if you've got it in your left hand, then it's the right way up. Okay, so it's a left and right-handed soldering iron, which I think is actually quite good. When I first saw it, I thought that was going to be rubbish, but it actually makes sense. Right, the only thing, when it's in left and right-handed mode, when you've got it in left-handed mode, these buttons are around the wrong way. Okay, so if I was back to where I was, get back in the menus, both press. Okay, it now goes the wrong way. So handheld, if I push the right hand one the same as I did before, then it takes me out of the menu. Okay, so you got to remember that once it's upside down, the buttons are all back to front. Okay, but obviously if you're using it left-handed, then that might be right for you. Right, handheld. Right, so I've got to push this one. That's it. And then take it to the other one, a long press on this one. Right, we're back in operation. Okay. All right, so that's the basic menus. I think they're quite easy to use. Yeah, right, let's quickly try one more soldering thing. This is a little silicone cover here, and it's got a flat on this side and this side. Okay, that actually makes it, when you lay it down, it lays flat on here, so it always falls back in the right position. Okay, which is handy, keeps this tip off of the worktop. Okay, let's try soldering something else. All right, another quick soldering job here. Now I've got a 7-segment display here. All I want to do is quickly add some wires. These are actually probably a little bit too big. So first of all, I'm going to quickly tin these wires. Let's see how quickly we can do that. Let's get our little helping hands out. Okay, we're going to quickly tin that if we can. Okay, that worked well. I'm going to nip the end off of that. Let's see if this works. Yeah, easy peasy. I like that. It's really good. Right. Right, so one thing to notice on this, the actual power supply itself, okay, this can get a little bit warm. That's nothing to worry about. I suppose it's drawing quite a bit of current, so it's going to get warm. But this unit appears to be more than man enough to cope with it. Right, so I think that's just about it. Now, as I say, this was supplied to me for the purpose of review. I've had a look at it, and my basic opinion is it's actually quite good. These are currently, let's have a look here. I've got it written down. These are currently £89.99. Now, you can obviously get these from Amazon, but you can also get them from Kaiweets directly. Okay, in the kit you get the actual soldering iron, which is quite good, small form factor, You get a stand for it, you get a power supply for the USB-C, you get quite a nice quality cable, you get some instructions, and you get 6 tips of different types, okay? Right, let me just interrupt myself there for a moment. I've just received an email from the Kaiweets people, and they very kindly offered me a discount that I can pass on to you guys. So if you buy from one of the links below, so there's either the one from Kaiweets or from Amazon, you can use the discount code 15FLW. Okay, I'll put it up on the screen here. Okay, so if you buy one of these, you can get 15% off. Nice. Right, back to Frank of the past. Or is it the future? Back to him. Overall, as a kit, I think I'm going to use it because of the speed that it heats up. I mean, you saw the other soldering iron, some of them, you know, they were minutes and minutes, it was still warming up. But this, 8 seconds, I can be soldering, which to me, that's really good, okay? If you haven't got time to wait, that's good. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that interesting. This is something I probably would have bought. I don't know whether it's suitable for you. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.